Hey, what's going on everyone? Matthew from therighttrader.com back today with another cryptocurrency video. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Internet of Services, their token, and their project, what it's all about. And basically it's a secure, scalable blockchain that actually works and that fixes a lot of the problems that we're currently facing with other blockchains, right? Things like security, scalability, and also they're implementing a new proof of believability system. So I'm going to go over all of that. I'm also going to go over the primer and the white paper. And by the way, for their actual token, it's currently in the top 100 at the 72nd spot, market cap of $285 million. And it actually hit the market not that long ago, right? January 15th. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that. And as for the exchanges that it's on, some pretty big ones, right? Huobi, Binance, of course, the most notable ones. Token supply of 21 billion IOS tokens. So let's jump right into the technology side of things because this is really what this whole project is based on. And it's trying to aim for high transactions per second while having the scalability, security, and privacy needed. And it's also focusing on actually allowing online service providers to serve their customers in the best way possible. Now let's go over some of the key points in their technology. And we have, for one, their efficient distributed sharding, which is summed up to EDS, right? And that's the technology that vastly improves the scalability by dynamically partitioning the iOS network into subspaces via a secured and bias-free stochastic process, so a little bit of a randomization process actually. And we have scale out, right? So perfect partition state for multiple groups handled in parallel. Atomics, which is fast-grade commit protocol to enforce consistency among crossed shard transactions. And BRDR, right, which is the bias resistance distributed randomness. And that's an innovative, effective, and secure way to introduce unbiased randomness into the iOS network. And so as I previously mentioned, they actually have a brand new consensus mechanism, which is the proof of believability mechanism. And that, for one, eliminates energy-intensive consensus mechanisms, and that's very key right now. A lot of cryptocurrencies are struggling with that. So that is one of the things that they're working on to solve things like adoption, scalability, and everything like that. And I'll get into more detail on this in the white paper, but believability of a node is actually calculated based on contribution and behaviors, and the fairness is ensured with algorithmic randomness. So they are working both angles there. So a couple of things you have to know about the iOS ecosystem. It is, of course, made for decentralized apps and smart contracts. It also has HUDs, which is basically, the data storage services and everything related to data on the blockchain. And then we have the fair and transparent feedback system, right? I already talked about that a little bit. So to go over the team members, what you'll see here is a lot of very qualified people, a lot of academic people, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of Cardano in that sense. For these projects that are highly based on the technology behind them, right? That's really what they're working on here. You kind of need those, very competent people who have that academic background, who have the knowledge to start working and building this whole thing up, right? So definitely a pretty big team and also a number of advisors. For the investors and partners, very interesting. We have some pretty big players here as far as actual institutions go. Sequoia, massive fund right there. Matrix Partners, probably already seen FBG Capital as well. Genesis, Huobi, Zen Fund, Danhua Capital. I've seen that one also on some other cryptocurrencies. Node Capital. So this has some pretty heavy backing. If we take a look at the white paper here, what we'll see is that they're proposing the Internet of Services, which is an innovative and secure blockchain paradigm designed to provide horizontal scalability and a very key thing, which is high transaction throughput. So by implementing their novel sharding architecture and consensus mechanism, the iOS system is actually able to process up to 100,000 secure transactions per second. And that is massive and very key as far as reaching the scalability necessary for today's age. I should also mention that that is the highest transactions per second system out there, right? Some of the ones that are front line are Ripple and Rayblocks. I believe Rayblocks is around 7,000 transactions per second. Well, iOS is actually at 100,000 secure transaction per second. So massive difference, and you can't ask for more than that, really. And this work makes the following contributions. So we first off have the efficient distributed sharding, right? And that's an innovative sharding scheme that makes shards sufficiently large and strongly bias resistant. That's something that they're working on a lot there, via a combination of a client-server randomness, scavenging mechanism, and leader election via cryptographic sortition. Next up, we have the trans-epoch. That's a secure validators to shards assignment during epoch transactions while maintaining transaction operability. Atomics, a novel two-step inter-shard atomic comment protocol that guarantees transaction atomicity in Byzantine setting. And then we have the proof of believability. That is a groundbreaking Byzantine consensus protocol with a believable first approach that guarantees safety and liveness of the system while largely maximizes the transaction throughput by size 1 shard. We also have the microstate block, a novel mechanism to minimize the storage and bootstrapping costs for validators. Keep in mind that the iOS is a work in progress and that active research is underway. New versions of the paper will be updated. Now, to go over their primer quickly, they obviously first off mention, the two problems that a lot of blockchains are currently facing, and that's synchronization and efficiency, which are creating all these massive scalability issues. Let's talk a little bit about the tokens in the iOS ecosystem, right? And those are used for payment, so payments for services and goods provided by merchants or other community members. Keep in mind that this project, hence the name, is focused very much on services specifically. Commissions, so payment to validators as compensation for running smart contracts, processing messages and transactions, and using resources shared by the general ecosystem, things like storage space, computer power, etc. And then of course we have believability, which is iOS tokens that are used for the calculation of a user's believability, and we'll get more into that in just a second. Now, an interesting addition is that each user can acquire iOS tokens through block validation, so the process of validating transactions, community service, contributing resources, running smart contracts, providing storage space, and exchange/third-party integration. So users can obtain iOS token easily via exchanges, etc. They are also introducing Survey as a measurement for users' contribution, and keep in mind that there is a self-destructive aspect after validating a block. I'll get more into that in just a second as well. Let's go over the main characteristics for the iOS blockchain. So for one, it is robust, right? Each shard correctly and continually processes assigned transactions without downtimes. Secure transactions are committed atomically or eventually aborted both inter and intra-shards. It's scalable. The throughput of iOS chain increases linearly with the number of participating users. Keep in mind those 100,000 transactions per second. We've got minimal storage, right? iOS chain reduces the transaction history for validators to a periodically generated summary of a shard state. That kind of goes back to that self-destructive aspect of things, and the low latency. So the iOS chain provides low latency for transaction confirmations, thereby enabling millions of transactions per second. And if we take a look at their roadmap here, we can see that for the first quarter of 2018, they are launching the MVP private testnet, Q2 2018 implementing and testing EDS and POB on the testnet. Q3 2018, they will be releasing the iOS smart contract document draft, and Q4 2018, deploying HUDs and supporting modules to the testnet. Now, as you can see, as we move forward here, still a lot of some testing, auditing as well on the network, and like the official release in of the network is in Q3 2018. What we see here is a lot of technological improvements and developments, right, as we move forward. And with that being said, everyone, this is the end of the Internet of Services review. If you're interested in learning more about them, please go check them out. I'll have a link to their website in the description of this video. And with that being said, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.